Okay, guys. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So wherever you guys are joining, and thanks for the great opportunity for this wonderful Microsoft Purview and Defender Days 2026. Um, so I must say that thanks to the organizing team and for sponsor as well. And I want to say who are the attendees. Please join the quiz program at the end of the session. So please answer and you can get the amazing the prizes. Okay, so this is the usual thing, and definitely you can enjoy so far from the morning. A lot of the great legends people from across different locations. They share all this knowledge, and today from myself. So the topic is from data chaos to the data trust. So how we are going to handle the data with respect to the purview, and how it is going to be accountability for this one. I am Shantabhav Pandian. I'm a data and AI solution architect. So more than 24 years of experience in industry. Right. So without further delay, because actually already we're running time out. My time till 20 minutes. I think probably I can take 10 minutes extra, isn't it, Narsimha Rugnesh?
Extra because yes, you can do that. You can do that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, because I don't want to take the next speaker's time. Okay, cool. I'll probably could be a bit. I'm not going to rush the things. As much as possible, I'll cover, and we can move on. All right. So the agenda point of view, we'll move on very fast so that it will be really easy. First of all, chaos. You know that, right? Because the data is growing volume, as we know that the big data point of view. The volume, variety, veracity, and so many factors. After this internet or Facebook, Twitter, everything is coming to the picture. The data, the generation of the data, even we are started recording this session from the morning. So obviously, it's going to be converted as YouTube channels, and we keep on adding all this the structured data, unstructured data, so that the maintenance is really challenging. That is the thing, right? So study says that almost 60 to 73% corporate data goes unused and for analytics driven inefficiency and weakness decision making. So I would say 10 to 15 years ago, then generally when we are building anything like simple application, legacy applications, to get the data and store the data, then we used to building a simple report. It could be it could be a daily report, weekly report, or yearly report, or quarterly report, something like that. So definitely we are not going to talking about what exactly inside, what the data try to say something to us. But the statisticians are doing a lot of exercise and the experiment with the data set. But in industry, so we never bother about that, what is the data we have. But it started with all other data fever, I would say. Then the analytical things keep increasing, and we are building the ML model, AI model, and agentic, that now the things are very super fast. But still, there are a lot of things actually missing out. That's what actually we are discussing now, right? So because there are a lot of sophisticated technology come into the picture to handle the data and driving the inefficiency into the efficiency manner of decision making. So that's what actually, so as you know, right? So Microsoft always not leaving to sorting out the challenges and the expectation from the technical people as well as a business team as well, right? So as of now, at present, the Gartner and the IDC, they're telling almost a $15 million worth of unmanaged data we have. So what we can do, but certainly some sort of things we're not able to use straight away. We cannot use that. Sometimes actually it's not at all required. And that's what probably you might know, right? We have a data engineering team, the size could be different based on the requirements, right? So the engineering team working with the core data and fine tuning that. It could be data remediation, data cleaning, data wrangling, whatever you can say. So that on top of that data, then they're making that very useful. After this generative AI comes in the picture, that fine tuning and cleaning up the data, it's become very slow down, I would say, because all the data is going to be semi-structured or unstructured data. So we are not able to do the cleaning up at all, for the images and video and audio and all. of course, we can do like a quality improvements and all that, because when we are getting the audio or video or pictures, images before you feed into the system, so we need to make sure that very effective and quality data for our GenAI point of view, right? So here the importance of the data trust. Of course, when we are building any data platform, there are the three major factors. Probably you might know that accuracy, security, and accessibility. That's very important. That ensures the data's reliability is very, very important, because it should be error free. As I said earlier, it's really very important, and it's going to be make the confidence for making a decision, because on top of that, the data after this, all these things, right, remediation and data like cleaning and all, be able to apply the proper ML algorithm, or it could be like even if applying the prompt using the LLM model, or like after feeding those things into the vector database. So everything like depending on the accuracy of the data. So even like in the GenAI point of view, like we have a GenAI era now, and agentic AI is a part of this. Multiple AI orchestrations going through. That's the reason actually like not bigger changes like with the GenAI and agentic AI point of view data feeding, because the data will be like what are the data. The first agent is taking a data, and it could doing something, some data massaging, data wrangling, and that things to be given to the next agent. Then those agent will take care of the next action item. So in the case, the data need to be like error free. So the accuracy is very important. And security point of view, yes, there are a lot of security of access. Even the earlier the presenter mentioned that, right? PII, GDPR, and there are a lot of CAPA. There are so many security aspects we need to handle before like we are going to apply the data or extracting the data, right? And accessibility, that is a very, very important thing, because that's what actually the data governance is in the picture. Because when we're using that after all these exercises like making accuracy and putting the security, and on top of that, accessibility is very important. Probably you might know the data governance. The data governance is talking about giving that who need to access what, and what the things can access by the list of people or set of people, right? That's the thing. Accessibility is very important, because otherwise the data will be like, again, even though if you're handling the GDPR, CAPA, RPI, whatever it is, it's leakage. But anyway, like all those data, critical data, sensitive data are filtered during this process. But who wants to see the what data? That is the main thing. So the accessibility and data governance coming into the picture. So the challenges and unstructured things, like it's like even they keep on talking about the whole day. So since it's a given timeline, as I said earlier, right, it's like increasing storage and data fragmentation impact and governance challenges and productivity loss. So if the unstructured data is keep on increasing, we have to be very carefully handle, because when we are using the proper the structured data, even the semi-structured data, it could be a JSON file or else it could be XML files. Handling the data and we able to figure out whether it's a quality data or not. Quickly we can figure out. But when we are using the unstructured data without or unconsciously, there are unnecessary things will be fed into the system. The system definitely the poor data accessibility and integration process will be reduced up to 30%. People are telling. But even in my project, when I'm working with that, there are unnecessary data is fed into my vector database, because when keep on prompting that, the prompt will go and figuring out that input the data which is available in the vector space. So unnecessarily putting the details from the indexing, right? Probably you might know how the vector data is working to begin the screen. So ultimately that impacting the productivity losses as well as increasing the storage cost, so that we need to clean up, or we need to re-indexing the data, or we need to refreshing, keep adding the repository and feeding into the vector space, so that we need to do the proper way of handling the things. Otherwise, the end of the day, definitely we cannot get to the single prompt will throwing unnecessary things. Probably you might know, right? That's hallucination, verbose. There are so many challenges, and we used to say the return of investment, the cost for license and all, we keep on increasing, because the throttle for getting the data from and building the response, it's very huge. unnecessary, like you going and checking like unnecessary data, or like it could be poor data. So overall setup will be like collapsed, and the customer come up say that, hey, I'm not getting the proper data, man, output. Why I'm getting all these things? But the problem with like the data fed through the external system, and even we are not considering whether this is required or not. So we have a checkpoint. We used to have a checkpoint saying that like, what are the data need to be loaded, even though if it is unstructured data. But sometime, knowingly or without knowingly, it could be duplicated. It could be like some kind of like overloaded or unnecessary data get into the inside the system. Then ultimately we are in the trouble, right? As a technical people, as a like a functional people in front of like customer, then we are in the like, big trouble, like saying that like why the system become very slow. That is very important thing, right? So the challenges, like it's really very huge. And again, once the challenges, always if a challenges means the challenges become risk, probably you might know, right? So once the incident, so keep on in the application getting on an incident like an issue, like in ITIL, if keep on getting the same kind of issue, what happened, like one point of time, it's become a risk to the project, right? Application. The same way, if you're not at all maintaining this, the data mismanagement and compliance, everything, ultimately the regulatory non-compliance risk comes up, and financial reputation impact will go on, and operation legal liabilities, because sometimes the data has been like given to the system, we need to validate. For example, in law forum is very critical, right? And even for healthcare industries, even the healthcare industries, actually the data is feeding into the system, and the output is sometimes it's like started, because the LLM sometimes it will started it reacting in a different way, right? Crazy way. So why I'm bringing over here actually the LLM and all ML model, but not just like feeding the data into the Purview, and then again we're taking that like the Purview is going to monitor that like the lineage of everything, and then the data platform taking care of all the data. But the operational point of view, there are a lot of challenges. So legal liability is very, very important, because if the ML model or outcome, end of the day, in architecture, if you're looking at like it's going to be ingestion model or like transformation model or serving model. In the serving model, if it is like the data is not at all maintained in the previous the two models, okay, two pillars, then ultimately the third pillar will take it as a granted. It will feed the data like to the output world, right, outside world, right? So that's the main thing. Like legal liabilities, taken care by the entire organization. At the end of the day, what they will do, they'll come back to the development team or like the technical team saying that how this has been leaked out, what is the problem. Then again, we need to take care of that. So to avoid those things, actually, we have to maintain a lot of things, like how to meaningful way to execute this, right? So the specific data flow and the disconnected systems is very important. Sometimes the data will be fed into the system, and we're not able to figure out like whether it's required or not. Once we'll have some set of rules before we data load into the system, but after some point of time, right, everything is going well. Suddenly, like any other like any corrupted data, or like it would be like a data like a violation, or like a vulnerable data is getting into the system, we missed out that the entire things will be complete disconnected what we're thinking, because the same kind of situation happened for one of the project. I don't want to say the customer name. The data they used to upload from the through application, but by mistakenly the bunch of like almost 10 GB or 20 GB data is uploaded by mistakenly. With the instead of uploading to the other system, they're uploaded into the manual way. That is a problem with that. Like they uploaded the like irrelevant data to the system. So ultimately, what happened? The system will like digesting whatever you're feeding, right? Probably you might know that, right? Like as it is, like it's going to be Excel sheet, it will be like a PPT or PDF or any other pictures or video, whatever it is. For the system, it's a feed. That's it. So it take that feed and then started like digesting that, and it's ready to give a response to the end user. So one fine day, actually the end user, actually the customer, they're try to get the detail from that the data, and it started playing differently. So those things are very important. Completely they're disconnected from the flow and what they're looking for, the output. That is the main thing. So we have to be very careful. Even that's the reason actually the agentic AI is coming to the picture. It will validate the data which is relevant to the system, which is already in the repository. Otherwise, the agent will kick off that data which is were uploaded. That's why actually nowadays we are designing the agentic AI system even though actually by accidentally anybody in a manual way of uploading the data or feeding the data from the system. And one more step further, the agent will go and pick up the right data, and before feeding into the next agent, saying that this is not at all the actual expected data for this system, and then that itself will send in the message. So make sure that the entire flow of data platform building are giving the painful things for the entire stuff, right? So as we discussed, how to build the data trust and accountability. That's very important, because see, when the earlier days, actually we worked on multiple things, right? Just getting the data and showing the data, right? CERD operations, probably. Like nowadays people are telling it's a CERD operation. But when this has become the reliability and transparency compliance aspects after the data, a data culture coming to the picture, right? There only they started finding that the data is how is trusted. After giving a target to the data, we can get the insight of the data. So when you're getting the insight, then you're able to do that some decision or prediction model. By the time they will be in trouble. So the data needs to be trusted worthy. That's very important. So data accuracy integrity is very important, so that the data is accurate, consistent, reliability, the fundamental establishing data trust. That's what I mentioned earlier, right? So for nowadays, actually, in Microsoft, there are a lot of AI enabled components are there. So with the help of that, definitely we can do that to the data accuracy and the integrity. That's a fantastic way we can build that. And same way for transparency and traceability point of view. Yes, of course, each and every component, if you go ahead with in Azure, there are a lot of a traceability point of view. You have a monitor, how the data is there, what is the things. But after this purviews come into the picture, the cost wise is bit higher. But anyway, we have to spend the time, we have to spend the cost, then only we'll get the fruitful. Otherwise, the end of the day, something coming to the outcome. Then if they're coming back saying that this is not good, this is not not right, and what we're expected, something like that, it's not a good way of approach. So that's why this purview and all playing a very important role. And even we are recommending to the customer saying that better you implement the purview, then it will be really helping us how the data is entered in the system and how it is keep on changing the face, all the things. So that's the main important thing. The same way, we can do that compliance and privacy protection with the help of all this setup. Okay. And one more thing here, I couldn't up with any environment showing that, because typically I don't have my own a login to showcase everything, but the customer side I have accessibility, but I cannot show over here. That's why the reason I'm not able to up any other screens with, from the what is that purview or other stuff. But anyway, you can reach out me for any other support and anything we can discuss further in the offline, probably if you need to implementation of these things. And importance of the accountability of data governance, it's a very important, because after I would say in 2017 or 18, the data governance become a very viral fever. Every organization, they have to establish the data governance team, and they have to ensure that the data responsibilities for the individuality. If you're going to be a CEO, or if you're going to be a CEO or CXO, whatever it is, and if you're going to be a VP or senior vice president or president, whatever it is, and you get directors and senior managers, or if you're going to be a managers or any level, then we need to understand who needs to own the data and what are the responsibilities and how they can handle the system, right? Since nowadays we have a lot of the chatbot, so themselves they can go and generate the reports, or a chatbot, reports and the visualization directly, and they can download. So if I'm the COX, then I should have all privileges to go and play around with the data. So if it's going to be a low-level guy, it's going to be a leader, a project lead or project manager means, then when he's trying to do some prompt, because we don't have any control after this kind of technology comes in the picture. So the data governance is playing a very important role. If I'm the project manager, I'm going to prompt as a CEO or CXO, whatever it is so the financial related information I'm taking or technical information I'm taking means, then my system needs to be understand, hey, this is a project level person. If you should not answer back to him. So the data governance we need to set up, and then we need to make sure that all the things are integrated. This is not only with the prompting. But when you log in the system, then there itself we need to backtrack and find out who is logging that and what are their the roles and responsibilities. So the data governance need to take care of that. So there are a lot of practices, there are roles and responsibilities there. Then I don't want to discuss those things because like it's like bit like we have the wider area and even the time constraints. So here the Microsoft Purview features and capabilities, already we know that, right? The role-based the policy enforcement, that is a fantastic thing. So though you can easily go and if the people are really understand the basic things, then the doing all these things like role-based access things and what's the organization-based roles, clarity and policy enforcement, everything actually we can like implement through that the role-based access policy enforcement with respect to Purview. And again, same way here the data cataloging, okay, and then the data lineage and then automatic classification. That is a fantastic thing because actually earlier when the Purview is coming to the picture, we doesn't have those kind of things. Only we have a data cataloging and get data lineage. So after that, they build up with the AI-driven metadata extraction. As I said earlier, right? Most of the places actually the Microsoft they're implementing along with AI. And especially for the Copilot integration with all the components is a fantastic job because if you want to do if you have any issues or anything like you want to ask, so no need to go out of the window, then are asking questions like Google Way or a chatbot, chat GPT, whatever it is. But inside your Microsoft environment itself, you can ask the questions, you can get the classification. So that way the automatic classification, the AI-driven metadata extraction classification, like a fantastic opportunity because so when we are going like finding any metadata extraction means like there's a tedious process for us, but now we have all these things. And of course the policy management. So we need to create a proper policy management, policy rules and all. We need to build that. We need to feed the system. Then we need to take care of the complete stuff. And data lineage is a fantastic opportunity. For example, if you want to understand what exactly the data factory is doing like working on the data set which are feeding, so that taken care of like entire flow. When the data landed from the outside SAP system or CRM system, whatever it is, so the data will be like landed to the like a landing area. After that, how the data has been transformed, everything, each and every step we can figure out with a pictorial representation. That is a beauty, right? But a lot of people tell like still it's like not matured. But I would say the matured version, like now what we have, it's like really is fine. But nothing is something is better than nothing at this moment. But definitely it's going to be like in robust way that they're going to build. That's no doubt in that. That's what I used to say. Right, because like I'm mostly with Microsoft. That's what I'm not like hyping the Microsoft stuff, but generally they make the life easier. Probably will agree with me, right? And here we have a data discovery stages and classification stages and policy enforcement, adding trusters. Everything is going to be a simple, like what is it, like a pictorial representation of like a simple component, and we can do all the exercise without any hesitation and without like any external support. Sometimes they might be required, but with respect to all the Microsoft, like specifically with Azure, all the components is self-explanatory, and it's going to be simple configuration. I'm talking about no code way. If it is going to be a code way or no code or low code means it's totally different, because actually we need to depend on Azure, like it's going to be like a data brick. We can write like a heavy unified things. Actually, we can implement that. If you are going to building something like a low code means we can write some simple VS code and we can integrate, we can work out that. And if it is going to go to the no code means simply you can do the configuration alone and pointing A to B, B to C, C to D. That's what, like, as long as your requirement is very simple. If it is going to be like in bigger than like expectations wider, then obviously you have to go to the next level of kind of like what is that, low code or like a code based. So I would say the suggestion, the code is the best way, because nowadays people can come and fight with me, because why I'm telling, if you're writing those things a requirement, implementing with the full code, what will happen? Is there any changes? Quickly you can go and change your code and you can deploy. Otherwise, you have to depend on the configuration, which is not available means no other go, because the Microsoft, like whenever they want, they would release the patches there. They're not like just like the other product vendor. The product may release on 6 months once or 3 months once. So we cannot rely on them. But end of the day, we need to push the things in production because customer requirement would be different. So that's very, very important thing, right? So that it's improve the efficiency and central cataloging, everything is obviously things. So here the number is a bit higher, but anyway, it increasing the trustworthy after the Purview implementation, 50%. It could be something a bit higher, but anyway, like a survey is saying this is 50% higher. Why means most of the customers, those are already using the Microsoft Azure environment. They started using all those things. That's a main deal. And automated data discovery, classification, lineage, as I said earlier, we have a fantastic options of like AI-driven data scanning, automated classification benefit, and data lineage transparency. And they have a building of, even you can build a small AI agent, you can club with that, you can play around with that. That is the beauty of that. Like now they keep going in the different direction, so that I think this number would be really like I would say, like confidently I can say, definitely they are reaching nearing to the 50. I would say, like not more than 50, but still there are things are there. But obviously, right, the complexities comes into the picture. We are starting out with the technology. Still, the complexity like feed into the application or requirements. It keep changing, right? Always like life is not easier, right? So the same way for like of the Microsoft Purview dashboard, probably you might know that like there are a lot of things we can figure out, like simply the real-time data inside compliance monitoring tabs and user-friendly interfaces. We can play around like what kind of like chart you need and all. So you can extract and you can download that. You can export as an Excel sheet or PDF or whatever it is. So that's the way actually the dashboard helping us to build that. So far actually we discussed about like how the Microsoft Purview is doing that, but it has a consistently enforced policy enforcement. We keep on that because once we build that Purview and all, we need to keep that the data governance active, because the data governance is not a one-time activity, right? It's like making that like committee or group and all and leaving them is just like that. No. So we have to make sure that we should work on properly. Okay. Right. So I think 6 minutes exceeded. So let me try to finish in another 4 to 5 minutes. Sorry about that. Anyway, right. So these things actually really establishing policy, ensuring compliance, helping us to do that things. So that at the end of the day, like the data governance typically managed by the governance, I mean like the Purview stuff, so that we can create a report, whatever the things. So ultimately, like we can improvise the cost based, if we are spending something a cost for compliance perspective, so you can reduce almost 20 to 30% and improve the operational efficiency. That's the main thing, right? And enabling accountability. That's it. Basically, once you connected like the data with your Purview, the continuous data auditing, monitoring dashboard, reducing unauthorized access and all, typically you can handle that. So ultimately, the data accountability through the auditing and monitoring, like well established. Not only with the Purview, I would say all the components in Microsoft, we have this monitoring. Probably you might not very familiar with that. So especially with this Purview, is extraordinary the features. So that there only people will go and find out, because sometimes the people ask like what is the performance of the what is the data factory or like data any other components. But obviously we need to enable, we need to build that what is that like a monitoring reports and all, we will extract that. But with respect to the specific the Purview, it's like like along with it comes its own, right? When you're buying anything like any pizza, like the burger, then we used to call it's come with the own, right? So that is going to be completely auditing and monitor point of view. Like these facilities are come along with that, so we'll try to utilize that. But definitely, like once you purchase this Purview, obviously we have to use those things. That's a very important thing. And of course, so here we can figure out like as I said earlier, how the things are integrated, data integration, policy enforcement, feedback loop, everything actually like a flow chart of the Purview will helping you data where it is going, where it is coming, and how it is changing. For example, employee, what is that like? Okay, product like quality or quantity things are like any other the parameters, how it is keep on changing, how you're slicing and dicing the data. So everything we can figure out with the help of like complete Lineage. So that is really easy way to understand. Somebody like to come into the project, once they go and see all this like the lineage and all, and then they can able to understand how the data are transforming from one phase to another phase. That is a typical way they can do that, right? And quickly we'll see that some improvised things. The faster analytic turnaround, of course, increased stakeholder confidence. That is a very, very important thing, and better forecasting and operations. So these three things actually making very important improved decision making with the trusted data along with Purview, because we can figure out exactly what is going on, how it is going, and then like we can figure out like whether this specific component is required or not. We need to replace with some other components, or else like we can enhance those things. Everything actually we can handle in different way. Okay. And enhance security privacy control. Yes, no other go. Definitely already we have a complete like what is it, like a role-based activity, role-based access control for all the components, especially with respect to the specific what is it, like Purview. And we have automated data deductions. Automation enhance the detection of sensitive data, ensuring into the protective sensitivity measures across the system, and regulatory compliance and customer trust and protection. So obviously we can connect it with the system to the mailing, or else like triggering the email, or else like the agent can get the data and like popping up into the Teams channel. Nowadays actually people are sending the SMS and email and all. They straight away will send the message to the Teams, so that people can aware of that. Hey, something happened to the system, we need to address that issue. Okay, that is the way we are doing that. And the data governance emerging trends. So there are the way to go, like a foundation, earlier adoption, which are AI, is it's like 10 to 25%, and decentralization of kind of these things like 12%. This is the data number for understanding. Probably like will you get the slides, you can go ahead and do that. And 2024 got accelerated, and as of now, the governance at a really scale level, and same way like we have right, so stewardship, and then like a data owner. So we need to increase that the roles and responsibilities of like data governance. And it's going to be like in future they're planning, Microsoft doing this a lot of automation oversight using AI, so that those things actually taken care of the agent, that it's the agent kind of a data owner or stewardship or like any other things internally. As a physical human being, like taking care of the data governance, the agent will do all the activities with respect to what is that data governance roles. Let's be individual agent going to play as a different role physically what we have in data governance. That's going to be there. Okay, so here the unified data governance and automated discovery and compliance monitoring fantastically handling, and driving the data very trustworthy for push the confidence, because we keep saying that the data come like this and data transferred like this, so that this is my accountability, my responsibility. I'm giving the response for the customer. The Microsoft Purview is playing that as a fantastic role in the industry. And I'm finishing here. So if you have any questions, probably we can take it up.